It's time to use the butternut squash that I got from the farmer that dropped off a whole bunch of food that nobody wanted to go to waste. So let's see what we can make with it. First, what did I do? I went out to the garden and I picked a whole bunch of carrots I didn't get to thin. They're tiny, but you know what? They'll do. Now, if you've ever been to Panera, they make the best squash soup. It's absolutely amazing. And we're going to kind of make it and see if we can make it taste just as good by using the ingredients we have on hand. So, let's get going. I grew this. You can grow it too. It's like the dead of January and I'm still picking produce out of my garden. That is what a well-designed garden can do for you. Now that we have all these little tiny baby carrots washed, it's time to get started on making it. So let me get the ingredients. We're going to be using a slow cooker, and if you've never made soup before, it's so easy. There literally is just a few things you do, and then voila, it's like easy peasy. Almost as fast as opening that can. Slow cooker, we're going to put everything in here, and we're going to need a quart of chicken broth, and this is how we measure to see if it is still sealed properly. 1, 2, 3. There we go. We're going to open it up. This was free. Remember, I use all I can. That was a good seal. That was a really good seal. Remember, this is what happens when you make your own chicken broth. You can use as much as you want. So when a recipe calls for 4 cups of chicken broth and 8 cups of water, I use all chicken broth because chicken broth literally is free. It's only the time it takes for me to can, and I've got a lot of it. So this is going in the pot. Oh, it smells so good. Needed 1 yellow onion, roughly chopped. We're going to pure immersion blend this at the end. You can use a blender if you want. We're just going to roughly chop it. Remember, this onion was also from the free food that we got. So far, 0 here. Now we are going to peel this bad boy, and we're going to chop it up into squares, into chunks, and we're going to throw it in there also. And it also was free. Butternut squash are pretty easy to peel. You just cut the ends and the bottom off, and then you run your vegetable peeler over it a couple times, and you get the most amazing meat, and then you can just chop it straight from there and de-seed it when you get to the center. Like, how many swipes does it take to get to the middle of a Tootsie Roll Pop, of a butternut squash? There you go. How many swipes does it take to get to the middle of a butternut squash? Gen Xers get that. And we're just rough chopping here. Save the seeds because those will be used as a garnish later on. This part hurts. 2 to 3 cloves of crushed garlic, minced garlic. It would have been free if I had my garlic crop back, but when we built the house, the garlic, I had to replant it, and it's out in the garden trying to grow. So yeah, I had to use Kirkland's. This was my standby. So it would have been free. It's now probably about 20 cents. It calls for a couple carrots. I'm just going to put in a lot of little baby carrots because, you know, that's just, it's free. It calls for half a cup of pumpkin puree, of which I do have, but why would I want to use one that is going to cost me money when we can just check and see what this is. This is pumpkin puree that's been freeze-dried, and it's sitting here waiting for me to try. What's the best time to try it is then right now. Calls for half a can. I'm going to say that is good. And we're still at 20 cents. Calls for 2 tablespoons of coconut sugar. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I actually had coconut sugar on my shelf. Do I even add this in because it's extra? It's like leftover from another recipe that I used to make that I no longer make. And then it calls for 1 teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to say we're still under $1. Here's where it gets fun. It calls for half a teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and a pinch of cayenne pepper. We're just going to add it all in because it sounds like it's going to be good. Okay, then this gets put on the slow cooker for 5 hours, and that will be my meal for today. And I'm going to say we're under $1. $1 for this. How many it will feed is going to be fun. We're still not done with ingredients, so I'll be back with you guys later. It's all tucked in for the day. I just plopped in some coconut milk. We'll let it melt around and then we will puree it. Oh, this is smelling so good. Moment of truth. Oh gosh, this is absolutely superb. Best lunch ever. Okay, I gotta go. Now you know what I know, and now we get to find a use for that rest of that coconut milk because I had to open a whole can. So with that figured in, the whole cost of this is probably $1 because we were just spices, which is like 5, 10, 15 cents for each one. So we're probably at $1. I only used 1/3 of that can. Now we're gonna have to figure out what to make with the rest of it. Ooh, that sounds like fun. Using what we have to save money and eat well. That's the motto for this year. You guys have a great day. Now you know what I know.
So she made a lovely squash soup. That was supposed to be the Panera Bread copycat recipe. But I've had the Panera Bread squash soup, and my wife's is much better. But, in addition, we had the seeds left over. I think she told you she was saving them. I wasn't supposed to eat them all yet, but I've eaten most of them. She made me sriracha flavored pumpkin seeds, or I guess squash seeds, I guess it would be. But they were absolutely fabulous. She'll have to tell you how she did it, but they were good, and I enjoyed them very much. They were finger looking good.
Pumpkin seeds are very interesting and easy. So to get the coating off of them, I boil them in some water for about 5 minutes. And then I put them on a dish towel and I let them dry overnight. And then I take them the next night, throw them on a cookie sheet, 325 degrees, stir every 5 minutes, salt and season before with a little bit of olive oil, a touch of olive oil, like 1/4 to 1/2 of a teaspoon, and then whatever. He just advised me that all the pumpkin seeds I squirreled away for him secretly. He's eaten. There's only 1 container left. Remember all those pumpkins that we got for free and I made all that pumpkin powder out of? I saved all the seeds for him. He just told me he only has 1 left. Oh my gosh. Bye, you guys. Now you know what we know. Is that the one that's left?
This is the one that's left.
This is the one. So I should put this under lock and key?
In my belly.